Unique New York.
This episode is brought to you by Mandalay Bay. The man, the myth, the legend, Grammy Award-winning Usher begins his residency at Dolby Live at Park MGM on July 15th with tons of dates to choose from. Make sure to check it out. And the Las Vegas Aces have completely taken over the city with their home games at Michelob Ultra Arena. So make sure to get tickets. Go enjoy the excitement. As always, come say what's up at our studio inside the Mandalay Bay Sportsbook anytime you want.
New York.
Dialed.
Welcome home. This is the Residency Podcast. I am Jeff Damasico with Drew Belcher and Low Raven.
Yes, sir.
Bringing you the biggest guests and stories in entertainment, business, pop culture, and sports on the Las Vegas Strip inside the Mandalay Bay. Make sure to subscribe on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. We're at the studio late today.
Yes, sir.
We're coming in hot. It's well worth it. We have an awesome episode with wildly successful DJ responsible for some of your favorite hits. He just dropped his new album and could possibly have the best DJ name in music. We're about to find out the origins. Party Favor, welcome to the show, man.
Yo, happy to be here. And for the people who can't see, we're actually matching. So,
Yes.
yeah. we didn't plan that.
You know your kindred spirits when you don't plan, when we meet for the first time and don't plan outfits and it syncs up. It's going to be a
green
great
shorts,
episode.
black shirt. Yeah, I mean, this is actually pretty plain for me. I'm usually a loud dresser, so I was just trying to,
Fair enough. The only thing you're missing is the stash. Look at these two guys over here. Stash. He's going mullet. They're going full Top Gun.
What's your mustache opinion
well,
in general?
I mean, okay, I'm usually not a guy that's like, hey, go for a mustache. I don't think a lot of men look the best, but unless you're like Tom Selleck or something.
Yeah.
But here, I'm also coming from a point of like, I grow really shitty facial hair, so I don't really have room to talk. Oh, sorry, can I swear on here?
You
can say whatever you want, dude.
Shit.
I don't know. Some people
Whatever you want, dude.
Good to
But
go.
you have good facial hair structure if
Yeah.
you wanted to.
Yeah,
no,
you do.
I appreciate that. But when I was like, this has taken me till I'm 33 years old right now, and this is like, I'm now finally have the best facial hair of my life.
You're working towards it.
I'm 33. This is all that's grown.
I think it just happened last year too. So
Those got the
this is all I've grown in 33 years.
And I agree with the mustache reference. Men just don't look good with mustache. Like, we didn't grow to be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go fuck bitches with this. No,
Yeah.
it was like, I do it every year. The last 2 years since I've been a dad, every year for Father's Day,
Yeah.
it'd be funny, and I've kept it a little longer now. It's like a week after Father's Day. I'm just full committed right now.
But it's definitely like a like people get really defensive. So I'm not. Once again, I'm
Mustache
not.
Summers.
I'm definitely not hating on either of your mustaches.
Well,
'cause
I know I'm not Tom Selleck, but I'm not like the terrible mustache. I'm just somewhere right in between.
I also think I like the look of a mustache when there's like some stubble going on too.
yeah.
I
You
feel like it
gotta
kind
have-
of completes the look. You
gotta have I grew a mustache, but I don't really care that
5
much.
o'clock
but it's
shadow.
here.
Yeah.
You gotta have the
that's
whole
like
thing.
that's kind of in right now, I guess. Too,
It
you
is.
know?
It is.
Very Miles Teller.
From the
sorry.
men that I'm looking at, on the day-to-day basis. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, we have to clear this up for everybody. Is there a wild story or reason that you have the nickname Party Favor? Is there like an
Dude,
incredible
I get asked
moment?
this all the time,
Yeah.
and I literally have the lamest story for this. And I maybe I need your guys' help and to come up with an even better story.
We
But
can do that.
I needed a name because it was like the first thing that popped in my head. I have no idea why. It wasn't like it means anything to me in particular.
Really?
And I just took it. I was like, oh, I have a lot of energy. Like, I'll be the party favorite for the show. Like, da-da-da-da. Like, that was kind of my thinking. This is in 2009 or 2010. And I started Party Favor as a duo with my buddy in college. And so when we started it, we were like, okay, this is what we want to do. And we'll come up with another name later. And we had some show, like a gig coming up. And it was like, oh, we got to come up with a name. Fuck. Okay, here we go. That's it. And so it kind of stuck. So here I
12
am.
years later.
Yeah.
So have you ever made up a story at a bar if a girl ever asked you? Have you given one heroic fake story once?
Yeah, just be like, I love drugs. No.
There it is. That's what we were asking.
Yeah.
I knew there had to be one. Like he threw out a fake story once.
No, I
But-
definitely for a long time I was all worried because I didn't want to have that. I don't want to have it like hurt my career to have like the drug reference,
Sure.
anything like that. And that wasn't, funny enough, that wasn't what I was thinking when I came up with the name. I was
Right.
thinking like I'll like literally be like I don't know. It was just something like I don't think that I really did my culture, I didn't look at the culture of what the word meant, or the words meant. Like
Plus,
together.
12 years ago, I don't think nightclubs were as serious and as big of a business as they were
Well, no,
now.
they were-
DJing in general,
they were
Not that
starting to
weren't
be.
there, but like they're the conglomerates that they are now, right?
Well, that was like when I started. Well, when we started and came up with that name, it was like it was just starting the cusp, you know, like we were really into a lot of the DJs coming from Europe, but at the time in the States, it was like the only people that were really kind of breaking in was like David Guetta, Black Eyed Peas were kind of doing it a little bit.
Right.
You know, Aoki was around back then too, but that was kind of still like the blog house stuff and things like that. So it was kind of starting to bubble and it was starting to kind of hit mainstream. Like they were, you know, Black Eyed Peas, Will.i.am, he was starting to see, he kind of was able to see what was going to be coming, you know, finally to the States. So we kind of were there. I was going up to LA, going up a bunch of these shows. I was going to Stevie Aoki's shows back in the day, like in the underground stuff and driving up to LA. And so, I mean, I kind of saw it that's where it become. And I don't know. I was focused on DJing at the time and I didn't even think about producing. I was like, oh, I got to DJ. I got to play these nightclubs in Hollywood and then I'll make it, you know? So yeah.
Just slap Party Favor on
Yeah.
a flyer and call it a day.
Hey, you know, I mean,
It
you
worked.
know, it's young and dumb, man. I don't know.
It absolutely worked.
Yeah.
Was there a time where you ever like were about to choose it, like to try to switch it, or did you commit? And that was
I think it was kind of like as things kind of moved forward, I started to kind of have the pressure of like, okay, if I got to do it, I got to do it now.
Mhm.
And then I just kind of never did it. And then it you know, a day came a week, came a month.
once you do it, yeah,
and it
you
became a brand, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, well.
Yeah,
I
no,
gotta change it.
I've loved and learned to like embrace it. You know, I'm not like obviously I love my name. I'm here right now with
Yeah.
it, but you know, it's like it's just funny how, you know, when you start, like you never know. I never could have imagined I would be here. So I think my thinking was very like in the moment of like I need a name for my or we need a name for our show, and it was
Just
like
has
all
to
right,
be right
you know,
now.
yeah.
What was that like on the? Obviously, you have a major residency in Vegas right now, but what was like the first big I made it moment where you were like, oh my god, trying DJing, and then holy shit, this happened?
Yeah. So I think, you know, I was, you know, grinding a bit for in LA. I quit my job that I had a great job in the film industry. I kind of chose to go after music and was kind of going after it. I was many times trying to quit, and it was kind of like at that time, to kind of give the listener, you know, like this setting the scene here.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, you know, SoundCloud was king, you know, so there wasn't Spotify, there wasn't iTunes or Apple Music and everything else. It was kind of like if you had a song that could like really blow up on SoundCloud, you like that opened a lot of doors.
Yeah.
And it opened doors to, you know, agents hearing you, to you know, bookers around the country or other DJs. And so sometimes if you had a song that was really popping on SoundCloud, that could be like a gateway for you to get noticed. And so I had a couple songs that went kind of, you know, quote unquote viral on SoundCloud for at the time, which was, you know, at the time, a couple 100,000 plays or high 100,000s was a big deal, you know, for to kind of cut through the noise. And so I started having people like Diplo and Skrillex and, you know, some of the people that I look up to that were my inspirations start playing my music. And it was kind of like, that was one of the first times where I was like, okay, wait, you know,
What's going on here?
some, you
They
know,
like what I make, or like they like my sound.
yeah, it was just surreal. I mean, it was like, whoa, like this is what you want. And, you know, I can't, they like whatever I'm doing. So
On SoundCloud back then, was it like original songs that you were putting out there, or was it like mixtapes of your mixes, or both?
a little bit of both, but
Okay.
at that time I was doing a lot of remixes. So like when I got into music via like sampling, and I didn't have any musical background. So I got into, but you know, the easiest way was to kind of take a song that maybe already had some legs to it, right? And remix it the best I knew how. And when I first started, I was absolute, you know, garbage. Like I'm sure, you know, when you talk to musicians, they'll all say the same thing. I mean, I listened back to some of the stuff I did early on, and I'm like, oh God, I want to burn it in hellfire forever, you know?
Yeah, right.
But I mean, that's all. I mean, everyone learns, you know, and that's the great thing about art, music, or anything. Like you know, you're always learning, and the best people are doing that. But I think early on, I was just making, you know, I was trying to prove myself like any musician does, but I was just making stuff that I wanted to make. And I for a long time, I got caught up in trying to make what, you know, what David Guetta was making, or what Tiesto was making at the time, or, you know, whoever that was popping at the time, Dot Alive, I don't know, whoever. And I realized that the more I kept trying to do that, I like my stuff was just not sounding great. It wasn't connecting with people. But whenever I just sat down at the computer and I just make whatever was coming out at the time, and at that time was like booty twerk electronic music. Like it just came out naturally. I don't know why that came out naturally, but I was like,
love
hey,
it.
I mean, I like to see, I mean, like to have girls shake their butts and have a good time. And
Amen to that, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Amen to that.
I'm glad you like that
Yeah.
because I like it too.
Yeah, it works.
If you can capture
I'm
that
glad
audience,
you're glad that I
Yeah,
glad that I like
yeah,
that.
for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Do you have like a memorable, like in your early gigs, like a gig that just did not go how you had planned it? Those are always some of the funniest stories that we've seen.
Oh yeah, 100%. Oh yeah, so okay. Yeah, one that just popped into my head was early on. I got booked in what city was it? It was in Iowa, and of all places, yes, Iowa.
Yeah.
And first off, shout out to Iowa. Iowa's awesome. But this club was I was booked at a and I don't remember what year of my career this was, but I was booked at a strip club. But it was like like the local promoters threw a electronic music show at a strip club because there was no other real like proper venues, or I don't know if maybe they just got a discount or whatever, right? So I show up to the show.
This classic Iowa strip club performance.
And so I show up to the show, and at this time I didn't have a tour manager or anything. So I mean, I'm just kind of like, all right, I'm here. I'm talking to the promoter guys and whatever. They take me out to some like local establishment, Iowa's finest. And then I go to the show, and it's like I'm the headliner, and there's all these fans coming out, and I'm like, okay, this is kind of interesting. I'm like in a strip club, and it's like a tiered strip club. So like if we're sitting in the sports book right now, right? But how some sports books are kind of like tiered.
Yeah.
So imagine
Like
like
a
that,
balcony
and
up there
I'm
or
down
something?
at the bottom. Okay, now there's like stripper poles and like tables and random stuff like throughout. It's a really weird layout. So like I'm down there, and they've brought speakers, and they've kind of stanchioned it off, and they like all the fans are coming in, and I come on. I'm the headliner, and I'm playing, and the crowd's going crazy. But like I kind of was like, okay, something's off here. But then I'm like, okay, wait a second. Why is there like other people in here? And then I realized that the club never closed. The club was still open to the public, except for this one area where there was a full-blown rave going on. And then
There's just casual
No, no.
strip
And
club
then-
people just like hanging
yes,
out.
exactly. So like the people that would be going to an Iowa strip club on a Thursday night, throughout the rest of the venue,
The
And
regulars,
So
yeah.
I'm playing, and I'm literally like, it was like the most. I'll never forget it because I'm sitting there and I'm playing, and then I'm like looking at like all walks of American life,
Yeah.
and then I'm like playing, and then there's like kids in full candy outfits and like glow sticks and everything, and then there's like buttholes, and it's like.
Just strippers.
And I mean, it was definitely like
That's insane. It sounds like the Iowa version of 11, right? Like,
Yeah,
it's like,
but he's
yeah,
just out there.
yeah. We'll go with that. Yeah.
Iowa version of 11.
Yeah.
That's
But it was like, and I remember I didn't know if I wanted to leave or if I was like, I need to keep witnessing this moment, or like it was very, the people that were there to see girls naked and probably de-stressed after their hard day working manual labor
yeah.
did not want to see me up there playing banging
Going nuts.
Yeah. Like rage music while they're trying to just, get, just chill, and
Yeah.
look at some ladies. So
Have you been back?
sorry to those people. No, I have not been back to that venue.
What a clash of two different worlds.
Yo, shout out to Iowa.
Look,
dude.
I'll be honest. If I was still playing that venue, I probably wouldn't be on this podcast.
Fair
So,
enough.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
Fair
Fair enough. So transitioning from Iowa strip club headlining shows.
That was actually that moment.
That was your moment?
I made it, guys.
That was
I
my
made it.
moment.
I made it, everybody.
Yeah, my moment.
When you didn't realize that money wasn't raining down on you, it was just like coming over the balcony from this other girl.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, transitioning from Iowa strip clubs to
Yes.
Las Vegas.
That's a great transition. Yeah.
All right, what is it like having a Las Vegas residency though? Because this is like the United States top tier mecca of nightclubs and
100%.
DJs now. What is that like for you?
I mean, first off, it's incredible, of course. I mean, it's an opportunity that very few of my peers get a chance to do. And I remember whenever I was first, DJing. I mean, I remember when Hakkasan first opened up here, and when I was first starting, I used to go to Rain nightclub, which is over
Yeah.
at the
Oh,
Palms.
Palms.
At the
If you guys-
Palms,
if you guys
yeah.
are old enough to remember that,
Classic.
and I remember, we would go in, and me and my partner at the time, we'd go in and try to give out our mixtape, which is
Yeah.
not a new thing, but we thought that was they were gonna be like, "Oh, wow, what a mixtape! You want to come play?
You're
know?
hired. Come on in.
I'm like,
I was hoping someone would give me one of these.
I was like
tonight.
18 years old and thinking that was a genius idea. We got custom USBs made with like when we like with little money we had printed our name on it and like had our little like email on there and Facebook and stuff. Anyways,
Hey, MySpace me, dude.
yes. So going there and seeing that, I've always like the spectacle and the in Vegas they do everything bigger, right? So on that sense, it's unparalleled. And I think that when I started working with Hakkasan Group, which is now Tao Group, it's been amazing. They have the best venues, and I think the biggest thing that I noticed with Vegas is that it's a great thing and sometimes a stressful thing because in every given night, like it's a Tuesday right now, right? And in every given night, it's a different crowd.
Yeah.
So like it's not like it's just Party Favor fans filling the rafters every time. It's like it could be me and you and the stripper from Iowa and
A corporate party,
and
whatever,
Randall from the cardboard convention or whatever's in town.
exactly.
Like it could be anything. So I feel like for me as a DJ, it really helped me understand how to read crowds and see what is working, but it's always a challenge every night because it's kind of like, okay, what is the crowd into tonight? Is it like, are they leaning a little more house? Are they liking the more hip hop stuff? Are they liking, the poppier stuff? Are they liking heavier? Are they, it's so, and usually about like half of your set, you're really figuring it out. And then it's like, then there's only about half left. So yeah, but it's fun. It's fun.
Do you think like how does Vegas compare to everywhere else for you?
Well, I mean, it's different because like I said, Vegas is a different crowd. So for me, I love Vegas. It's to getting to play in a venue like we have in Vegas or Omnia, like I'm playing tonight, is like, I mean, the best club in the world.
World Series, yeah.
And and I'm a little biased, but I've gotten to play a lot of incredible places around the world, and so you get to be on a stage and that is unparalleled. So it's amazing. It's in that sense, it's the best thing you can ask for as a DJ. But in terms of like a purely like fan to fan relation, it's definitely like I'm able to reach, people that are coming to pay, let's say a hard ticket show for me or, a smaller venue sometimes is easier to kind of have that relationship with like my
makes
fans.
sense, actually.
Sure.
Yeah, that makes sense actually. So then do you prefer the nightclub environment or do you prefer the festivals? Because like the festival culture has gotten insane.
I mean, it just depends. I mean, we I have like I'm one half of a group called Side Piece, and we just played a bunch of festivals that I had never even played before as Party Favor. And we do like more like proper house music, tech house stuff. And I just played Bonnaroo, and I was absolutely incredible, and what an experience. And I've played Coachella's Party Favor, and that was a dream bucket list. And getting to play those festivals is insane. But there's something about even sometimes like the small intimate venues where you're like, we're as close, as you and I are together, and it's sweaty. Like I remember one of my favorite show experiences ever was my first time playing in Sydney, Australia, and they had a club there where it's called Chinese Laundry, and I kid you not, the ceiling was like if I'm in the booth, was like here.
Oh, let's go.
So everyone is like banging on the ceiling. It's pumping. There's a glass thing. People will shake it, and it's just like a straight back club. It doesn't exist anymore. But it was like, if you talk to like my peers, it was like everyone's favorite club to play at because it was just raw. And I think that's like, those are the best experiences, in terms, because sometimes with a festival, we just played EDC, back in May here in Vegas, and the biggest crowd I've ever played for in my life. And then we played at Side Piece at I don't remember the stage, Circuit Grounds. And, I mean, I got chills a couple times, and I've been doing this for a long time, and that doesn't happen often, but there's still an element that is not personal, right? Like it's literally a sea of people.
Sure,
like,
right.
Like they could be CGI for all I know, but they're enjoying it.
No way all these people are actually here.
No, yeah. Sometimes I like don't believe it. I'm like, is this happening? Is this real life right now? Am I in a different dimension? But
I think actually, honestly, now that I think about it, that like, I guess you'd have to throw back to when you were way younger, when you were like in your like early 20s, and you would just go out and you would love just strictly for the culture of the music and like wanting to be out until 5 a.m. and be sweating and banging and going nuts for your favorite DJ or artist or whoever it is with like a small group of people. Like that moment is incredible. Like you said, they're there strictly for one thing, not to show off, not to spend a lot of money, not because of the presentations or anything. They're there strictly just to go nuts on the
For
music.
the music and the party. Like literally that's it.
Yeah.
Love that.
And even if you take away all the production value, do you like that as well? Where it's just like, there's not a lot of, other stuff going on, and it's
yeah. I mean, I think it depends on like the venue and the situation, because I think like crowds now, and it goes for a lot of genres of music, but like are kind of primed and have short attention span, right? From social media, TikTok, everything
course,
else
yeah.
too. And when you're at a venue and you're at an experience, you know, if you don't have flashing lights and LEDs and explosions and pyro and
Cryos.
TOT, you know, sometimes you can tell that these kids, especially the younger kids, are like coming up, like they need that every 15, 30 seconds, like something
Cryo.
happening, you know? So like when you're in a situation where it's your true hardcore fans and they don't care about anything, like sometimes like a random pop-up or an after party or something like that,
Right,
or
right.
sometimes some of the best vibes in I've had. So
Yeah.
the after party vibes are great.
No, that
Yeah.
production thing she's talking about too. Remember, we were talking with some other DJ, and they're like, even like college parties, frat parties, all these humongous parties that have these huge budgets for now have full on production, right? There's cryo, there's lights.
Yeah, just
it's-
everywhere
it's
now.
absurd.
bro, they got bottle service and shit behind the table. I'm like, I'm like,
At a
who's
college
paying
party.
for this?
What
Like,
is going on?
yeah. Like, your dues are paying for this? I don't know. Like,
Yeah, it's not. We had Loud Luxury on a few weeks ago, and they were just talking about
yeah, listen to that one. Yeah,
the,
yeah,
the college parties have gotten just completely and utterly out of control.
yeah.
Not from when I was like
Out of control, right?
No,
you know
no.
what I'm saying? Like
Same.
from the days of just throwing on a random
A backyard
speaker
party.
and being
Yeah.
fine, you know what I mean? And now it's
Yeah.
like on another level. I mean, look, I guess I never really thought about how widespread the differences are from your performances.
Yeah.
Do you now seek out those smaller performances to add to your like crazy schedule?
I
Since you're
mean,
being booked in so many big venues, you know what I mean?
it just depends. I mean, I do if the opportunities arise, I love those. But it's like, you know, you always as a musician you want to play to the widest possible audience, and if you have the ability to sell tickets, you know, more power to you. And so, it just depends. If the opportunity arises, a lot of times it ends up being an after party at this point or something like that, or
Yeah.
you know, random one-off thing, like, you know, that might have happened, like, oh, we're already in the city, or, you know, pop in a day early or something like that. So
Are you drinking at all these shows?
I do sometimes, but when I'm with Side Piece, I do a lot more because it's the two of us, and so I'm like, I start
time.
dancing
Yeah.
and I get into it.
love
Yeah. Oh yeah, I feel it. Yeah, but no, man, you know, it's crazy. Contrary to my name, I'm not really like, I've always been as cheesy as it sounds. Like I get high off the music
Right.
and the experience, and for me, this has always been like a job.
Mm-hmm.
And like I've watched a lot of people kind of fall prey to the party side of it, which is,
Right.
you know, so easy. I mean, I could get any drug I want in 2 seconds. I could get, you know,
Right.
anything like that. And so I think for me, it's always been like the people that I've always looked up to the most in all genres of music are the ones that actually, like, you know, outside of some of the classic rock guys or whatever, like they're very, like, they treat this as like, this is work. Like I'm coming to work. And,
Yeah.
and for me, when you travel as much as I do, and, you know, and my tour manager's sitting over there, he knows, like, it's, you don't, like, I hate it.
It's
Like,
not
I'm
sustainable.
over it. I'm like, I don't care anymore. Like, I don't
Yeah.
care about being, you know, like,
Wilding
you know,
out.
yeah, I don't need,
Yeah.
I don't need to be, you know, fucked up to have a good time. So
I trust me. It's just not. Well, how many dates are you touring in a year now?
that's it. I don't know. Why don't you count them up and we'll get back to you. But a lot. I mean,
lot,
we
right.
have. Yeah, I mean, you know,
You can't be
show
getting
right
hammered
now.
every
I
night.
just was back on Thursday. I've got 3 shows this weekend. Then we go to Europe, come back, 5 shows in one. Yeah.
It's crazy.
And
Yeah.
plus, now you're in your 30s too, like all of us. Like, dude, being hungover in your 30s, way different than being hungover in your 20s.
Yeah.
I'm hungover for fucking 2 or 3 days now, and I can't function
Death,
the next day.
dying.
Woof. Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
and it's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I can't do it.
Plus, I see the ring on your finger. You're married.
I am. Yeah, man.
Okay,
Yeah.
so as am I,
Yeah.
and that also the madness.
Yeah. No, she's you know, she gets the world, she gets the lifestyle, but it's definitely, it keeps me grounded because I think
sure.
like it just keeps the priorities on. Like when it's funny because like I have so much energy on stage, my music make is really high energy, but when I get home, I'm like, I don't go out, I don't go to the cars. Like people, all my friends, you know, they work regular, normal,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, no,
smart people jobs, and they're like, and you know, and they're like, oh, you know, we're going to the bar this weekend or whatever. And I'm like, you know, honestly,
good.
that's the last place I want to be.
good,
Ever.
man. Sure.
Get me away from any bar or anything with, you know,
I'm all right.
I'm happy with just like a nice dinner.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Netflix and melatonin. I'll see you there.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, there you go.
All
you know?
day.
So like, yeah,
Um,
I go full grandpa mode when I'm home.
Yeah.
Same.
Love it.
From 33 to 83 in
Real fucking fast,
in a couple
dude.
hours, you know?
Well, it's opposite lifestyle. That's how you unwind.
Yeah.
Right? If you're at the club every single night, you want to just zone out completely.
For sure.
Have you ever had anything crazy on your rider?
Yeah. Nothing like,
Like green M&Ms only.
no, so I've had on my rider for a long time. I've had I have a hand drawn picture of me, and it just That's it. So that you can, however they want to do it. And then I also have
Really?
yeah. and then I have a mystery box. And you can only imagine that I've gotten some surprises in the mystery box before.
So they
So
have
I
to
don't
attempt to draw
specify what. I just say I just want a hand drawn photo, a picture of me, and I want and I keep them.
you. Wow.
That's
Okay.
awesome.
Yeah,
And a mystery box.
yeah.
Which can't contain anything.
Is it size?
Contain whatever you want.
Oh, whatever you want.
Whatever you want. It's like a secret box. They'll give it to us.
So it's like a surprise.
It can be anything.
It's
a mystery box.
Can you let us know some great mystery box items that have happened before?
It's like, I mean, sometimes I'll get like people will literally go and they'll be like I'm a 8-year-old kid at a birthday party and I'll have like poppers and candy and shit.
That's good.
Sometimes I'll like open it up and they'll put the picture in there and like some other stuff or funny like gag gifts. Sometimes it'll be like I've gotten like lingerie in there. I've
Nice.
gotten like
There we
random
go.
stuff. But I've definitely gotten like drugs before in there. Yeah.
absolutely.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, I don't specify, so
Yeah.
it's par for the course. But I mean, yeah, that's a good. Actually, there's one good story, and I don't know if I should name, since we're on a public platform. I probably shouldn't name the school, but I was at a very very public university in Texas, and I show up, and there's a lot of them. So
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
there's-
Texas is
th-
huge.
hey,
Large
it's a country.
state.
Hey, yeah, you let your
can be-
imagination run wild. You
Yeah,
know, it's
for
a
sure.
Texas is a big place. So I get there, I show up, the promoter guys pick me up from the airport. They're all super hyped up. This was like I think this was like a fraternity party or something. This is many years ago. And I get there and I'm like, I'm tired from the flight. I was coming from somewhere else. And he's like, oh yeah, man. And yeah, so we can't have alcohol at the venue. So I have your whole like alcohol and drink rider and everything like in the back of my car. So like we can drink here or like we can bring it up to your room. And I'm like, the fuck? Like what am I gonna drink? Like this whole 2 handles of tequila and all this beer like up in my
run
room.
inside and
Yeah,
run
he's like,
back
yeah,
out.
we can't have it. So we can just pregame in your room and then whatever, we'll bring it up. I'm like, I was like, all right, well, you hold on to that. I'll let you know what I want to do with it. And then he's like, oh yeah, and we got your mystery box, man, like with a big wink. And I'll wink at the camera for effect here. Yeah. And I'm like, oh my God. All right. So I'm like, and I mean, I wasn't exactly at the finest establishment hotel wise, but I'm not a bougie bitch, so I don't care. I'm like, whatever, like just grateful to be here.
Yeah.
So I show up, I go up, I check in, I go upstairs, and I'm like, it's like something out of a movie, like where you see the mystery box like on the bed, and there's like a shot of me, and there's a shot of the mystery box. And I don't remember if I like FaceTimed someone or like I was like, yo, I'm about to open this mystery box. I was like, you want to take a guess what's in it?
For proof, please stay on the.
I open it up, and I kid you not, it was literally every single drug you could possibly imagine.
Oh.
Like thankfully I didn't see any hypodermic needles or anything, but I mean I didn't know what everything was. I wasn't like tasting everything and like, what's this, But it was like,
That's wild.
I mean, it literally was like, like just weed,
Buffet.
pills. It looked like either coke or ketamine, like who knows whatever. And for the record, I've never done ketamine, so yeah, I think it all looks about the same. But I literally was like, okay, first
He was just
off,
trying to be a good host.
Yeah, no. I'm like, oh, appreciate it. That's really cool. And they thought they were so cool because they're like, yeah, dog, like
Got
you the mystery
I got
box,
mystery like party favor, the mystery box of party favors. Like, like they had some note and they were like, have fun, bro, or something. And I was like, okay. I don't know what I look like, and I was like, I mean, what the fuck am I supposed to do with all
what
this
am I gonna
drug?
do with this?
It's like I'm just gonna pop one of each. Like, let's see what happens in Texas, But yeah, that was the story.
That's
So
gnarly.
The mystery box vibe. When did you come up with a mystery box on the hand drawn photo of you?
man, I just get ideas sometimes.
I love that.
know.
No, that's incredible.
I think for me it was more like the idea with everyone, like you mentioned that green M&Ms thing, right?
Yeah.
Like the whole idea behind that. I don't remember which band that was specifically that started that. It was Guns N' Roses or whatever, but the idea is that you have like, for people that don't know, usually you have like a technical rider. And you have, and then you have like the musician's rider. So like on a musician's rider, you can have food, drinks. You can specify. I mean, some people over the years, maybe they do request drugs. I don't know, whatever. But this, not in these day and ages. But like you could have crazy stuff on there. But it depends on like if you're like a low level artist, you can't be like, oh,
Cool.
I'd like some caviar and
I need
some
a lavender bar of soap.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, bro.
And then you have your tech rider, which is everything you need. If you're a band, everything you might need for the show. So they would put those in there as kind of like, hey, did you read the contract? Are you actually legit, as a promoter, as a venue? the team behind it to say like, are you paying attention to what we're saying? So for this one, I always just do it because I kind of like, if they go out of their way to do it, like it just shows me like, wow, you guys actually care to even like not only read that, but like take the time to go do that. Like I know people who have like toy sets on there, or like I remember like a funny one I remember was whenever I was first starting out, my manager at the time was like, he was doing promoting stuff, and he threw this party and he actually booked Dylan Francis. If you guys know who Dylan Francis is. And this was before, I mean, I didn't even have an agent at the time. This was like early on. I was still a duo. And Dylan Francis was, you know, he had just blown up with his ID Gaffos record or whatever it was at the time. This was probably, you know, I don't know. Anyways, I'm dating myself here, 2010 or, you know, 2011 or whatever. And he had on his rider, he had, and I hope I'm not blowing him up here, but he had like 80s like porn VHSs, and then he wanted someone to like print out a picture of him all blown up, and he had like 50 things on this rider, right? And obviously everyone knows Dylan Francis, like he's hilarious, you know, he's super funny, like, you know, so it's perfect for him and his brand and his music and everything. And so my manager's like, oh shit, well, like I, you know, this is my first time, you know, he knew it, but he went out and got a bunch of the stuff. And when Dylan showed up, he was so pumped because he was like, yo, no one ever, first off, gets me usually like one of these things, and then if they do, like you got a bunch of the stuff. And it was like, you know, there was crazy stuff on there, but I'm talking too long. But anyways, it was
you just rock with it.
But I always remembered, I was like, damn, you know, he clearly was like,
paying
you know, moved by the fact that you actually did this, and he was so pumped about it. He's like, oh shit, now I got to take all this stuff with me, you know. So
I like, what's that movie where they're like, they put a dollar bill in like the playbook, where it's like the college recruit. Draft Day, I think. Draft Day. Remember, it was like the Kevin Costner movie where they put a dollar bill
to see if they open it and read the plays.
They actually read the playbook.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
They do or they don't.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of concept, right?
Yeah,
yeah,
See if they
exactly.
actually read
Yeah,
it.
Pay attention.
Or if they're just being
or that, like I think it's old wives' tale where there's like someone who's like, oh, they put on the like the when you're like, it's like some test at school or like college, you know, and then they have like the whole instructions, and then like halfway through the instructions, it's like turn this over and sign this on the back, and it means that you read it and you get an A.
Yeah,
you know, because you actually paid attention, you know. So the moral of the story, kids and ladies and gentlemen, is to always read the contract.
Yeah, read the contract. Read the fine print, damn it.
Yeah, I like that. It's not that anyone's trying to be, or for the most part, at least you, not trying to be like a douchebag or anything, you know, but I could see some superstars doing like specific requests to be that way. But for you guys, just to throw that in there, dude, that's amazing.
We should throw it.
Yeah, I mean, because
we should throw something in podcast episodes now, and everyone's like, "Oh yeah, no, for sure." Right? Listen, the whole episode, it was super sweet.
Yeah,
100%. Cool. What was the word?
Yeah, what did we talk about at the mark 35?
Yeah,
you know, 35.
Just like one. Hey guys, this is the secret word.
Yeah. That's a good idea, actually.
I love that. All right, new album, dropping a new album.
Oh yeah.
What's
that whole thing? Yeah.
What's the process of dropping a new album in this day and age right now? Like,
Man,
how crazy is it?
It's absolutely stupid, is what it is. You know. It's amazing. For me, leading up to the pandemic, and I'm sure you've heard from, I don't know, you know, you guys talk to all walks of life of people, but, you know, a lot of my peers in music, I got just so jaded and caught up in the rat race of this industry and the music. And, you know, I was go. I would say yes to every show. I was touring nonstop, like way more than I even am now. And I was completely burnt out mentally, physically. Like I was depressed. I didn't know it. You know, I didn't, you know, and it took for the pandemic to hit for me to like physically be forced to stop, you know? And so when that happened, it was kind of like I had made this album back in 2018 and, you know, it did okay, whatever. But I realized looking back, I'm like, I stopped making music for myself like I did in the beginning of my career, right? And I was making music for what I thought people wanted to hear or what would work or what would maybe stream or whatever. And when the pandemic hit and everything was stopped and it was like, you know, you just got your whole life taken away, you know, in terms of like your career, your source of income, your everything you've worked for. And, you know, at the time, of course, we didn't know what was going to happen early on too. It was like, how long is this going to last? Like what's going to happen? And so I started kind of having this like moment where I was like, wow, like I'm just going to go back in and just start fresh and just kind of like I had time to kill and I'm like I'm gonna make music again and see what happens. And it started kind of coming out and it was kind of I was able to kind of put a little bit more of myself into my music for the first time, you know, like we talked about in the beginning, like my name, you know, and my music has always been kind of high energy and fun and not very deep. It's just been I want people to have a good time and sometimes that's all you need in music, you know? You just want to be kind of taken away. But for me, it was kind of like, now I'm older. I've been doing this for a long time. Like I want to say something with my music, and I want to, you know, impart a little bit of how I'm feeling as a musician and as an artist into my music beyond just the superficial outside stuff. And so it was really cool. I got a chance to kind of go back, and I was using, you know, all these different synthesizers that I'd bought over the years that kind of just sat there, and kind of going back and relearning a lot about musical theory. And you know, in the past I worked on a lot of collabs with people, and this is the first time that there's not a single collab on the album with another DJ or another, you know, music producer. So I have vocalists, you know, singers and different people.
Right.
But that was the first time that it was like on me, you know, and I worked with a couple people that are like producers in the industry that work on pop stuff, and, you know, come in and help me where I needed help. If like, you know, and one of my great friends, Connor, was able to do that and kind of help me steer me in the right direction. But yeah, so anyways, that was kind of like, that's what started the album. But, you know, in this day and age, it's like singles rule everything.
That's what to say. Is it
yeah.
just especially as a DJ, it's like just single hit, rather than trying to construct like an entire album with a mentality and a feeling and a theme and all of this. Do you like that better? I
mean, I liked the thought of an album because I love to listen to other artists' albums. But in terms of like now going forward, like, I'm not going to do that. You know, like I might do an EP or whatever, but, you know, I think it's just hard. It's just not how people absorb music anymore, you know, unfortunately. And I'm guilty of it too. I mean, like I got a Spotify, like the whole way here, I was listening to my liked Spotify, and I wasn't listening to someone's album. I was listening to shuffle of liked songs, and, you know, which is in and out. I mean, I have every genre under the sun, but it's like, I'm consuming the way that everyone else is consuming it, you know? And
do you remember like buying a CD or an album and a CD and like
100%.
And like,
Best Buy, Target, yeah.
Do you know what it was? I had this
my local album store, yeah,
dude, and like
$18 or something, $19 for.
Do you remember how hyped you would be just for like the booklet?
Yeah.
The booklet,
and I would read it. I would read them all. I loved when they put little Easter eggs in there and everything. Yeah,
just like it was so cool. The art and like how you could, man, that was the best. No one will ever understand that.
Yeah, and I think that that's something you can do when you're making an album, is you can tell a story that you can't just tell through a single, you know? But I think it's just hard because, you know, I guess in the end of the day, it's really hasn't changed in the sense of like music industry has always been based on singles. Like, I mean, if you think even back when it was vinyl records, you know, you'd have an A and a B side, you know, a lot of times before there was even an album, it would be like A, B, and the A single would always be the single or whatever.
Yeah.
But for albums, you know, even in the past, you'd hear something on the radio; those would be the radio singles. But you would go get the album because that was the only way you could hear the CD. But now we have every single song ever made at the tip of your fingers. You know what I mean? You're like
immediately
like every single Sonata and you know, every single Dierks Bentley song. I don't know.
For
you know,
$10 a month, it's
yeah.
all
Yeah,
yours. It's all yours.
It's crazy. Yeah. I mean, and it's
That's so true. We're so spoiled.
It really is a spoiled nature, and how can you? It must be so hard for people to like really love artists anymore because of the amount of selection that they have at all times and choices that you have continually. So like, when you feel like when you put out an album, people just aren't getting the full picture because they don't put like, it's hard for them to really put the time in to listen to an entire album.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like your core and hardcore fans that have been with you since the beginning, they'll listen and they'll cater to, you know, they'll listen to your album. And I think that the people that do take the time to listen through, I hope that it does reach them. And the people that have told me like, wow, this is crazy, I love it, you know, all that stuff. But, you know, other than that, people are passive listeners. So just like anything, they're listening to, you know, what are the first top 5 songs on Spotify,
course,
and
right.
do I like this? I'll like this. Oh, maybe I like this artist, I'll follow them. And then you start to kind of see when a single pops up. But you got to kind of, it sucks. You have to hook people, but I'm sure, as you guys know, it's like, how many times if you're looking back probably on all your like songs or whatever on Spotify or you know, Apple Music or whatever, like how many of those artists have you been like, oh, that's cool, but you, like you just said, I didn't even pay attention to who the artist was. I like the song, I've listened to it a few times, I don't even know what happened to that artist, I don't care about that artist, I don't know.
Right.
It doesn't mean anything is wrong with the artist, it just means like,
It
so
came and
there's
went.
people do
All
that
the
to my
time.
music too.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do I want them to connect with it and hopefully, you know, reach it, you know, or have
Do
it
you like
reach
the
them.
importance of social media now? Like how you can connect it, or just how much work has to go into that now as like a separate complete
You can ask my
job?
tour manager. He hates me because like I hate social media so much. I'm like, if I wasn't doing what I'm doing, I wouldn't even have an Instagram or Facebook and any of stuff like that. But I understand the power of it. I believe that it's an amazing tool when used right, but it's like pulling teeth to get me to like post. It's bad. I'm bad. I'm bad about it.
He's like, oh,
shaking his head.
You got a lot of head nods
Yeah.
over here.
Yeah.
in
But
the
you know,
crowd.
but like I've like even over the past like 4 or 5 months, I've been getting better. I got really bad, especially because of the pandemic. I just stopped, like caring. But it's super important. I mean, it's
So we're not going to catch you making a TikTok on the way out of the studio when you leave here. You know? Just like a quick behind the scenes, man.
yeah, no, probably not. But I probably should be. But yeah, no, I'm not. No.
I mean, look,
You can catch me here.
Yeah,
listen to the
look,
podcast.
This is. I mean, look, we love it. We understand. I mean, obviously now as a podcast, as a musician, right? Like as just in media in general, right? It just
Necessity.
it's a necessity, right?
Yeah.
It's a part of how you get people to discover you. And sometimes it's shocking. I'm sure you've had this, even though you don't like it, and so you do post something, and then you actually get people engaged. You're like, shit, like it's so annoying that it worked. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
and you still have to do it, and we get sometimes as well. And it's incredible how many new listeners and people that we get to engage
course,
with
yeah.
our show, with a clip that goes crazy, or
Yeah,
they
yeah.
discover someone, or the guest finds another guest through a clip or a piece of the show. But yeah, it's bizarre how it's become almost, like you said, not like an additive, but a necessity.
I mean, it's become almost more important than the music itself. And I think that's what's hardest for me is like I want people to like, like the musicians that I love, like I listen to them for the music. I don't know what, I've loved Metallica since I was really young, and I'm like, but I don't know what James Hetfield's doing on his day-to-day life. Like I guess I could probably tune into his social media, but like I don't care. I'll like just keep cranking out good records or come play, and I want to come catch you guys rocking it out. But like. I think that's maybe it's just my personality that I'm very like it's funny I'm on stage and I'm a public figure and all this stuff, but I'm almost like my mentality is almost like I'm like an introverted extrovert. It's really weird. It's like they shouldn't go together, but I am, So
You just kind of like turn on when it's time to play, but then turn off when you're just in
yeah,
your life,
yeah,
right?
exactly. Yep.
I mean, I guess
I become party favor in a way. It's like
Yeah.
where you go like this,
Yeah.
and it's
The
like it's
mask
almost
goes
like I'm able to put that mask on and become this performer or this person, and then when I go back, I'm kind of like I want to be Dylan again, So
It's like Superman, right?
people are like voyeurs though now, like that. Everybody wants to see what you're doing.
well, no,
and
they
how
want to
you
see
do
they
it.
want to see Dylan. They want to see me. They
Yeah.
want they almost care less about party favor. They want to see what makes Dylan tick, And I'm opening up to it. I'm trying to do it. At this point, I'm also getting older to do so. I'm like, I don't really care. So I'm kind of like, all right,
Right,
you just really
right,
want to see me? All right, I'll be me.
But
That's what
people
it is,
love
yeah.
it. They get addicted.
They do.
And going back to the single dynamic in today's industry, those early studio sessions when you're creating a new album and composing a new album, do you go into the studio strictly in search that I need to make a single, or does it just kind of happen organically and flow? Or are you in the studio like, hey, this is the single, I need to make a single, it's got to have this beat, etc., or does it just kind of flow organically?
Great question.
Or does the market decide? Is it just you just put out a bunch of songs and like, hey, fuck, that one's getting some hits,
I mean,
that's going to be the single?
I guess the answer to your question is yes. to the market, but also to like creatively. I definitely have sometimes will butt heads with management or with label stuff in terms of like what they think I should do or what I want to do. But I always feel like the most success that I've ever had is when I listen to, as cheesy as it sounds, like my heart or my gut instinct. And so I finally kind of did that again with this album, and there's nothing really on that I made on the album that's actually technically like was like made for like, oh, this is going to be a single for the radio. And we all thought there were some really strong songs that like maybe might connect, but touching on to your point, the market decides. I mean, and also it's kind of a matter of, unfortunately right now, it's like, if you don't get, picked to be in a certain playlist, or if you don't end up in playlists, it's really hard to get your music found nowadays. And it's like, you could put out a record that, everyone tells you is great, but if it falls on deaf ears, no one's going to hear it. You know? But it can get resurrected on TikTok, or it can get whatever, just like we see this happen all the time. But yeah, so it's a little bit of everything each time. But I don't think I ever go in specifically like, oh, I'm making this song for radio. But it kind of is like, hey, okay, I want to make a record today that's a little bit more like radio friendly or pop radio friendly.
Yeah.
But I always feel like, in my experience, every time I've really tried to make that kind of record,
doesn't work.
Yeah.
it just goes like
Yeah.
down. Yeah.
Yeah, it can't be forced. Is there a lot of record label pressure for that? Because you released this album with Ultra Records,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, which is massive, legendary.
And I don't want to sound like I'm hating on Ultra by any means. No. I did. Yeah.
But is there pressure for the record labels like that, or is it just more like a free flowing like?
I mean, I think there's definitely pressure. I mean, no one's like, here's a gun to your head, make me a pop hit, monkey. You know, like, but like
Faster, better, louder.
Yeah. But it's kind of like, I feel like, you know, that's how they make money, and that's what drives the business forward. And I don't care what label it is, they want, you know, singles, unless you're someone who's such a mom and pop label that we're like, you know, true music lovers. But, you know, it's just kind of that's always over your head. And I think that when you get to a certain level, and you know, I feel like I'm at least at that level, there's kind of an expectation where, you know, you have to kind of maintain a status quo of your music in terms of plays, in terms of reach. Otherwise, you know, they lose interest in you, and it sucks. You know, it hurts artists that are much smaller than me a lot, you know, and also there's a lot of pressure on me. There's always that pressure on my back that's kind of like, if this song doesn't do well, you know, but it also hurts too. I mean, I hope I speak for a lot of artists. It's like, you put your blood and sweat and tears into songs, right? And especially on this album, I put a lot of myself in, which I didn't, you know, like to do. And, you know, so if you see a song and you're like, oh man, I'm so confident in this, and you put it out and it kind of comes out to crickets, it's kind of like, it's a big ego check, you know?
Yeah.
So
For sure.
I mean, it's hard to forget. There's the art element and the business element every single time, and they have
Absolutely.
to somehow intersect, right?
yeah, 100%.
Are you making more money touring and doing shows, or off the music in general?
Yeah, definitely touring for sure.
Yeah.
You know, that's, I think, majority of musicians make more money touring, you know, or if they can crush merch sales or whatever. But it depends on the deal you have with your label, and, you know, and a lot of times it's very unfair to the artist. But I think that, you know, I've been fortunate over the years to get a lot of syncs, and like that's like my music's been in commercials or video games or sporting events or whatever. So like there's money to be seen from that, which I've been able to do very well for myself in that world for
That's
some
awesome.
reason. I don't know. So
That's obvious.
not gonna, I'll keep it going.
I'll take it.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
take
sure.
it.
Yeah.
So for the Vegas residency, are you obviously, so you have a long-term deal here in Las Vegas?
Usually it's like they usually re-up it like every year. So
Every
it's
year.
kind of like you know, I'm sure they have performance marks on me or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's not like I go to the counselor and they're like,
End of
hey,
year
you know,
review.
like here's your report card. But
They open up the book.
you know, I mean, just like anything, if I'm not, you know, helping to, you know, sell tickets or bottles or whatever, like, you know, I'm not gonna stay around for forever. But
Yeah.
it's every year I usually get re-upped. You know, it depends on how many shows. You know, they say, okay, you have 20 dates this year or whatever, you know, it might be. And then if I was to hit all 20 of those in, you know, by right now this time of the year, then they would hit me up to re-up again if they
Right.
wanted, you know. So
Are
fingers crossed I get to go back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep
Yeah,
going.
yeah,
Let's
yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah.
Keep it up.
Have you
Please hire me.
guys, come on.
Yeah.
Here's my USB.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. My new
Jason and
mixtape.
James, we're talking to you.
My new mixtape.
Do they pay DJs after you perform each show, or are you getting like an advance for a lot of shows, or how does it work?
I mean, I don't deal like when I first started, I would get sometimes like an envelope of cash, and then I would have to go and then like be like, okay, I got to record this and set aside this much for my agent and management, all that stuff. But I don't like that. That luckily I have a army of people that work with me and deal with that stuff. So a lot of times I just go through the agency. So
Yeah.
like the agency is the one who actually goes and collects the money, and then that gets paid out to me per month. Yeah.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Got the
So
whole
I'm not like
involved.
getting off stage and like,
Here's your check.
Here's my
Yeah,
Venmo.
like,
yeah.
My Venmo
Please,
meter.
sir, may I have my payment? Yeah,
Just an automatic
They give you a
request.
bag of coin.
You guys, I'm not leaving.
Yeah.
I'm not leaving.
Yeah.
This mystery box was empty. It's bullshit.
Yeah, excuse me. Yeah.
By the way, you said you got put in video games and other things. Huge F1 fan. You're on the Formula One soundtrack.
I am. I'm super
hot.
pumped about that.
Sick.
So
Hot.
cool.
So
And I
sick.
actually have 2 records on there, which is really cool.
One,
So.
it's an awesome soundtrack altogether. And 2, I feel like that's because they only picked like they're picking people from around the world,
I feel like I'm like, you're looking at the back of my head.
right?
So like
It's
the
all
whole
good.
time.
Which was pretty cool. So there's only a few people from the U.S.
Yeah, you know, it's what's so cool about F1 is obviously, and it's amazing that it's finally like kind of picked up so big here. Is that it's a world, just like electronic music too, but like it's such a worldwide sport. You know, I mean, outside of maybe maybe the only thing bigger in terms of worldwide reach is obviously football or
Yeah.
soccer.
Exactly.
Yeah. Not American football.
You
But
never know how to say it. Never gonna get attacked by the people.
yeah. So I say both.
Yeah.
I cover
Yeah, they're
cover
both good.
both bases. But yeah, I mean, I think it was definitely super exciting. And sometimes you hear about that stuff, and it's like, hey, you're in the running to be on the soundtrack. Oh, super excited! I hope I get it. And it's crazy with a lot of those syncs and things. Sometimes you won't know until they literally are like, hey, here's the soundtrack, and I'm like, surprise.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, so like when they announced it, like that was the first time I found out that I had 2 songs on there.
That's sick.
Crazy. So you approve them. So yes, you guys can use them if you want to do them.
Yeah, and one of the records is with this girl I did a record with. She's based in Australia, Western Australia, but she's also she's originally from Iran, so she's like Persian, and then she's Australian, and then it got me, and so it was a really cool when we made the record. You know, it's this very like
Multicultural,
worldwide.
yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Sick.
so
I love
You know,
that.
that's
What do you think the biggest difference is from U.S. audiences to international audiences?
That's a good question. I think I definitely think it's like, not so much even anymore. Even like from when I first started, it felt like if I came somewhere, they were coming to see me, and at the time I was making, my genre has always kind of been called trap, even though like, trap music is actually from Atlanta, or like hip hop music, so it's like electronic trap, or so I'm not really making trap music, like I'm a white guy, but I'm making like my my iteration of it in an electronic world, and like so a lot of times when I came, it was kind of like I was able to start touring internationally as kind of the like big room, and kind of the initial first wave kind of wore off of the same old thing, and so people kind of started to expand their sound and whatnot. But it really just depends on the like where you are in the world. I think like in Europe, it's very still house is king, right? So my other group, Side Piece, that's we do a lot better there. Whereas like Party Fever doesn't necessarily, maybe I'm not as big in Europe as I'd love to be. But like, for the most part with internet and with everything, everyone kind of has access to the same stuff,
Right.
So other than just some songs might not necessarily have hit, in Asia yet or whatever. But for the most part, the crowds are pretty amazing. And especially like with electronic music, since a lot of stuff is very minimal words, you don't necessarily have that language barrier.
It's true.
As you
Sure.
do,
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Jeez.
Is there a place on the bucket list that you just haven't checked off yet?
Place on the bucket list. Yes, I've always wanted to play in Sweden and Norway, and I've never played in both of those.
Okay.
Because I've been all over Asia. I've been, and actually Africa would be amazing. Like I just did this podcast that was based in South Africa like 2 weeks ago,
Really?
and it was really cool talking to her, and just I've never been there. It'd be amazing to go.
That's
So,
cool.
yeah.
Luckily now, like especially the performance venues have like just exploded everywhere. The festivals have exploded everywhere. The
Yeah.
opportunities for you, I'm sure,
Yeah.
like are going to go nuts. I'm sure there's like.
I mean,
insane
it's
South
still,
Africa
the world's
festivals.
still like there's a lot of places, I used to be going to Asia 2-3 times a year for, a couple weeks at a time. And, I just might be going back to Asia back in like this coming December. So, it's like that, and that'll be, almost 3 years since the last time I was there,
slowly
so,
getting back to what it
yeah,
was.
it's still just like in a lot of places, there's a lot of restrictions, or there's cases are back up, or, whatever,
I get that. That makes sense.
yeah.
Shooting music videos. I
Yes.
love your new music video, by the way.
Thank you.
The Lunar video.
Yeah. Shout Lonar. Yeah.
Sick.
Oh, boy.
Do you like shooting music videos like that? Do you get into that?
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, I when I was young and I went to film school, I worked in film industry for a while. So like, I love the process. I'm a film nerd for sure. So I love the process of making it and turning it, from turning from concept and filming and everything else into that
Of true art piece.
Like bringing it to
Exactly.
life
Yeah,
with
that's-
visuals.
Yeah.
and
So
stuff.
for me, I love that. And then a couple of videos earlier on when we were a couple of early singles, I directed a couple of those videos, like the Save Me video I did, and
Oh.
the Whenever You're Around video. Those were my, my concepts, and I was kind of in there directing. So that was kind of a fun hat to put back on, Like I don't necessarily want to do that full time again, but it was really fun for me to kind of execute a vision from, I guess pen to
Storyboards.
paper. If we think about it, like, I mean, from when I made it in the studio to how it's presented visually. But Music videos are gnarly, man. They're always more work than you think. They never turn out the way you want them to, and they're very expensive.
They're always more expensive.
And I came out of my pocket a lot on all these, and I definitely, like, I was talking with my management like a couple weeks ago, and I was like, yo, no more music videos. Yeah, like, dude, no more music videos.
No more music videos. We're done.
I'm like, yeah, I'm looking at a lot of red here on the ledger, you know. So, but
social media all of a sudden is looking a lot better.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. You need it for the social media.
Short form content, baby.
But the NAR video was amazing. I mean, that was like we got to drive with professional drifters, which was incredible, and professional stunt drivers as well. So like, they drive in movies and everything.
No, the visuals were sick.
Yeah,
man.
and we got NAR hanging out of a car, and I think it was able to kind of reach how heavy and wild the song is. So I was pumped about it. Yeah,
I think it probably like scratches the creative itch or whatever that you have with, especially when you do an album, right? Like you need to attach like a music video with like that whole experience, you know?
Yeah, I mean that one too. I mean, it's like, I think, sometimes if my music's a little more mellow, or if there's this, a singer, but when you have someone like Lil Nar who already does these amazing videos and has a great stage presence, so like to have him out there, and he's such an awesome, dude and a personality. Like I wanted to showcase him too,
Right, for sure.
And something like that. So.
That's dope, man. Look,
like if it was that song and it was just me up there like trying to look cool, like
I probably wouldn't have worked as well.
Yeah. I would hope you wouldn't ask me to not be on this podcast. Yeah.
Do you have an all-time favorite performance that you have in mind, where the crowd was on point, your performance was on point, the energy was there, just the full encompassing experience?
Man, Bonnaroo recently was crazy, even though that wasn't necessarily a party favorite show. But I honestly, the most hype that I've ever felt in a situation where I was just uncontrollably like, this is the most rowdy shit I've ever experienced, was here in Vegas. Life is Beautiful.
Let's go.
Ooh, let's
Really?
go.
Wow. Hometown festival.
When did I play? Was that 20? I'm asking my tour manager off screen for anybody watching.
Had to be what, 2019?
2018? Yeah. 2017 and 2018.
2018.
And I mean, I don't know. It was just, there was something about that. And he was there, and he even still says this day, it was just like, I got that stage and I was like, whoa, like, yeah. It was
Hey,
crazy.
Vegas kids
Shout
get
out to
wild.
Vegas,
Shout out
dude.
to Vegas, dude.
Yeah, of course. Shout out to
it.
Vegas. I love Vegas.
I think like the multi-genre festivals sometimes.
Those are my favorite.
Yeah, bring like outside of like the big house music EDM festivals, right? Like EDC, which is obviously just
100%.
like the church of festivals, or like the Beyond Wonderland and all these other ones. But like the multi-genre festivals now, like when you see some of these lineups, you're like, damn, that's so wild. Like someone from over there and over there and over there and over there. It probably brings like a whole new crowd.
Oh, it's amazing. Those are my favorite to play because I think it also makes people a little bit more refreshed when they listen to the music, like no matter who you are, I think if you're,
Back
you
to
know,
back to back to
yeah,
back to
I mean,
back.
if you're listening to, if you're at the techno stage and you're there, unless you are a techno head and you're listening to, 12 and a half hours of that straight, like, I mean, you got to be pretty dedicated, and like, and I make that kind of music.
Great,
and it's like,
great
and it's
word,
like,
dedicated.
No, I mean, and I'm sure
a lot
that
of mystery
I'm sure
boxes.
you'd feel the same if you were listening to, if you were at a country music show and you listened to that literally for 14 hours straight, and you're like, we're going back tomorrow at 14 hours straight, 14 hours, it happens. Some people do that. There are those fans. Shout out those fans. But like, yeah, the multi-genre festivals are the best because I'm also like, as a music fan, like I love to go and be like, oh, like, what hip hop artists playing or what
Yeah.
rock artists are playing, or, like I got to play like one of my favorite memories. I was in Mexico for this festival in Monterrey, Mexico. And one of the like headliners randomly was Offspring,
Let's go.
and I was a huge Offspring fan when I was a kid.
Same. Yeah.
And I'd never seen them live. And I was like, hell yes. So I walked across the festival, like I'm not very famous. I don't need paparazzi or anything, but I walked across. I was just like a fan. Like I was no longer a party favorite. I was an Offspring fan. And I went out there and they rocked that fucking place. And in Mexico, and he sounded exactly like the album. I was like,
so
yo,
cool.
this is so amazing. And I was like fully refreshed. And then I don't remember who else was at the festival, but for me as a music fan, I was pumped. I was like, I get to see, electronic over here, and then,
Right, that was
Offspring.
amazing.
Childhood favorite.
Yeah.
I actually like how that multi-genre festival thing is now becoming like a mainstay all over the
All over
place,
the place.
dude. Like
In
it's so
tons of
sick.
different cities. Yeah,
Even
for
though
sure.
like you seen like the Governor's Ball lineup, or
Yeah.
like my good friend now who's the president of Breakaway Festival. I think you're on one of the
I
lineup.
sure am.
Yeah.
Shout out Breakaway Festival. Yeah.
Exactly. So they're the multi-genres of
I
Breakaway
think we're playing two
festivals.
of them. Yeah.
Yeah, is crazy as well. They're just, and Life is Beautiful, obviously being a mega one. they're just sick. Dude.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All over the
we're
place.
playing Lollapalooza later this month, which is incredible in downtown Chicago.
Yeah.
That's one of the best
That's
festivals.
iconic.
If you ever get a chance to go to Lollapalooza,
I've never been to Lollapalooza.
I'm not being paid by. Well, I am to play, but I mean,
Not to-
definitely
in
not
general.
to shill Lollapalooza, but you got to go. It's incredible. It's right there on Lake Michigan.
I've
your
never
Grant
been to Bonnaroo
Park-
or Lollapalooza.
You're Grant Park. You literally are playing, and it's like everything behind you is this. Of course, this Chicago skyline.
It's the
insane.
city,
It's
right?
insane,
Yeah,
yeah.
I've seen videos. Yeah, it's insane.
It's and it's just the best vibe, the best people. And Chicago is just an amazing city if you've never been. So
For sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Those are two iconic
Sponsored by
ones.
the state of Illinois.
Travel there on your next
If
vacation.
you want to go to Bonnaroo, my
Send
ticket,
me a Venmo.
my ticket link is this.
use Party Favor 05 to get your discount code.
Exactly.
Free mystery boxes for everybody. Look, man, we appreciate you coming on the show. This was an awesome episode, man. Guys,
Thank you for having me.
check out the new album. Follow him on social media. He may or may not post in the near
Hey,
future.
hey.
You know,
At Party Favor, I'm on there. Stop by.
Come see him in
Tell me how
Vegas.
much you like me, hate me, or whatever.
that's it, man. Guys, we'll see you
Thank
next
you.
week.